Good morning, YouTube family. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be. This is Happy Crappy Hour on Escape from Crazytown. And I'm so excited about today's topic because I have been going through this thought for many days. It's just been going in and out of my mind a lot, and I wanted to share with you some things that I've been thinking about. But yeah, it's a good topic today, so very excited about this. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit. Ah, let me see. Hey, Obi-Wan, good to see you. You made it. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I want to tell you that Happy Crappy Hour is a time for us to communicate, connect, get to see. Oh, this light's really bright. Oh, there we go. Get to see what's going on with each of us this week, what our happies are and what our crappies are. The happies are things that went well and you want to continue doing, and the crappies are things that probably didn't go so well, right? But you can learn from them. Sorry, you guys, I'm going to try to adjust this a little bit better. I just don't like it so low. Yeah, so my happy, such a crazy happy for me this time, this week. My husband, he takes care of my podcast and my website. So if you guys want to subscribe to the podcast, you can actually listen to it on Stitcher or what's the other one? Google Podcast and iTunes. I'm on all of those. And if you don't want to watch YouTube while you're driving, but you just want to listen to a podcast, some of my past happy crappy hours make for pretty good listening while you're just driving. So subscribe to that. My happy is that I recently got a 5-star review. Woohoo! That's so nice. I really appreciate that. Somebody had gotten on Google and or wherever they were and tried to look for. I guess they were on iTunes actually, and they were searching for something to do with the narcissist and why they're not able to get over the narcissist. So they listened to one of my podcasts and gave me a review. They loved the channel, so I'm so glad, so happy about that. And this is why I'm here. This is why I do this, because I want to get this information out to you guys. I want to give you hope. I want you to know that there is another side. It's not all doom and gloom, and your life is not over, and you're not always going to be here in this spot where you're feeling miserable and hopeless. You're not always going to be here. And I want you to know you're not even going to be taking with you bitterness and anger and frustration. Instead, you're going to actually move on. You're going to have an incredible, beautiful life because you are going to get plugged into reality. So that's today's show. We're going to talk about the illusion versus reality. And if you get caught up with narcissists, you know, the illusion is incredibly strong, immensely strong, because it attaches to you in a bonding, hormonal, psychological way that it becomes part of you, and it becomes harder then, at that point for you to separate what is illusion because it feels so real. And I got to tell you, what's in your mind can make you think this is real. If you think about, people who've gone through surgeries, I mean, they call it phantom pain, right? Where they had an appendage, an arm, or something amputated, and yet they'll feel this pain. Now, that might be a bit different because that's more wiring in your brain and you're not really able to control that. But there are times that people fully, truly believe something and they just can't see past it. Like, for example, anorexia. People will look at themselves in the mirror and believe they see a fat person. They believe they see bulges where there are no bulges, right? It's just bones sticking out. But they are so disillusioned in their mind is so deceived into thinking this is reality that they starve themselves. And that's what I mean. That is, over onto the psychotic side where you need help and you need professional help to break out of that. But there are times that we do this to ourselves, on a weekly or daily, monthly basis. We attach ourselves to somebody and we make out the story to be some illusion and we cannot let go. And not only can't we let go, we can't escape it. We're trapped in this illusion because we cannot see reality. That has happened to me before, and I am now currently juggling an illusion, and I have to sometimes what the reality is. I mean, it's not very hard because now I'm on the outside um, with reality. Oh, you guys, why am I not able to turn this around? Oh, there we go. Oh, yay. I don't know. My stream got interrupted, you guys, so sorry about that. Sometimes uh, YouTube does that. So, yeah, I wanted to tell you guys that there are times when you might get caught into this in this illusion and it's so hard to break out. And that's why I want to talk about it today. What and also my experiences, because I think maybe you guys have gone through a situation where you've had to have a relationship or continue a relationship with a narcissist, especially with the holidays coming up, right? You're going to probably have to interact with that crazy relative, you know, who is a total narcissist and you cannot stand them, but you don't want to get into a fight. And so this will also help you because I'm just going to tell you what I do and it seems to work. And so this is why I wanted to share this with you. But before we get there, let me say hi to some of you guys. Just Be Real, hello. And I Love Mexico says hello. Hi, good to see you here. And let me see, Mike, good to see you. Mike says, your channel is very helpful, Escape. Thanks. Yes, thank you so much. That is part of my happy. It makes me, it just encourages me so much when I hear from you guys, when I know that this is helping, when I hear the good stories, and especially when I see people becoming more and more optimistic while they follow me on this channel. I've had some of you guys out there some viewers who've commented through the years, and I can see how you guys are changing. You know, I can see your growth. I can hear it through your words. So I'm so excited for you. Jihad, good to see you. So let me see here, you guys. Oh my gosh. Obi says, I needed serious mental health, but this form of abuse confused me and went under the radars and left me messed up. Exactly. Isn't that true? That's how illusions work. They do go under the radar. We don't know that they're an illusion. You know, yeah, it's just total crazy town. And that's why I call it Escape from Crazy Town. It absolutely is crazy town. But while you're living there, you don't realize it's crazy. You think this is normal. I've talked to so many people who have expressed to me what happened in their marriages, in their relationships, and it's lots of crazy stuff. And they always say while they were in it, they thought this was what normal relationships were. They thought this is how two caring people behaved. Sometimes not caring, but you know, they have their down moments and they think those down moments were normal when actually it was extraordinarily abusive, extraordinarily negligent. It was horrible. And yet they stayed because they thought, okay, they're looking around, they're thinking, well, aren't other people going through the same thing? Maybe they're dealing with this too. I don't want to give up. So you guys, I wanted to tell you a few other things too today. So you heard what my happy was. I got this great 5-star review on my podcast. Be great if you guys want to subscribe to that. And some of you who are listening to this later on and catching this video coming up on my channel, please subscribe and please like it, share it. I'm a very small channel. And you know what? I'm okay with leaving it that way, but I do want to reach more people. And in order to also continue doing this, it helps if you guys would watch a commercial once in a while. So I would appreciate that. So far, YouTube has been automatically implementing them in my videos. I'm going to let them do that for now. But when they run, I understand skipping the commercials because they are annoying. But once in a while, please watch one or let one play. It would really help me. And when you do that, YouTube would then more likely recommend my videos or suggest it to other viewers. So just letting you guys know that would really help my channel and help me to keep doing this. So just much appreciation to you guys out there. So my crappy this week, oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know. It has been really a whirlwind of a week for me. Um, I don't even know where to begin with this, but I started off helping out, volunteering at an organization for uh, far more than I expected. It was for a conference. So I was doing some camera work and stuff like that for this organization. And they were putting on a conference, and it was the first day, I kid you not, it was 13 hours. And I thought, what am I doing here for 13 hours? It's crazy. So I thought I would be able to handle it just fine, and I did. But then the second day started even earlier, and it was another 8 hours or something like that, something close to that. And by the third day, I was just exhausted. Luckily, we weren't the conference was over, but I needed the time to recuperate. It was just crazy. So my week, it's, and then when you do something like that, when you do something exertive or over and above what you're used to, the hard thing is to allow yourself to recuperate. So I would suggest to you guys do that. So my crappy was I might have overextended myself. I felt like I did all right. And it's okay to overextend yourself now and again for a good cause, if you're helping somebody out, if you're, that it will bring you a promotion, stuff like that, right? It's good to do that, but then allow for yourself to recuperate. That's my crappy and my lesson from my crappy. Not only that, but after the conference, I went ahead and threw this. It wasn't a party, but we took out this 3-year-old for his birthday because his mom's a single mom, and took them out and spent the afternoon with them. And oh, it was great. It was great that we did that, and I was so glad we were able to do that. But man, was I wiped. So you guys, yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys, all right, today about our topic. So we're gonna start jumping into that. Hold on, I want to see if I'm catching you guys. Just be real. Good to see you. Sherry Jensen. Yeah, says Jezebels, they put you under their spell. Yes, they do. Jihad says, always expect the worst from them and be prepared. Yeah, run and don't look back. Absolutely. But like I was saying, sometimes during the holidays, you run into them. You may be running into them at an office party, you may be running into them in your family gatherings, people you've had a relationship with, and you have to figure a way how to get through it. Let me start with sharing a story, my own experience, which actually I kind of don't like to share it because I'm still kind of processing it, but I'll have you process with me, I guess. The story is with my mom. I want to tell you, I do care about her a lot. She is my mom. She did raise me. It was abusive the entire time I was there. It was just horrible. Um, and then even years later, in my 20s and such, she kept accusing me of the abuse that was happening to me, like I deserved it. She put the blame squarely on me for the tragedies that were happening in our family, even though, the narcissists, how they are. They implode the family, they destroy the family, but then they blame the family members, right? So this is happening to me into my 20s, and I thought, how do I even repair from this? How do I heal from this? And I wanted her in my life. Before you realize they're a narcissist, you think you can still have a relationship with them. So you open the door again and again and again, but every time you interact with them, you go into this downward spiral. You go into this darkness. It's horrible. I can't, stress that enough. And I think some of you guys do know that and do understand that. Well, here's the thing. I still have a relationship with her. And today our relationship is actually, by many standards, it looks like it's great, you know? Looks like it's, somebody looking from the outside at her would think, how is it possible, if they've been victimized by her? Possible that she has a daughter who still accepts her and still loves her or is loving to her, who still welcomes her into their family. Is that daughter crazy? I've heard her speak so horribly about that daughter. I wish I could tell her all the things that her mom has told me. Guess what? I already know. I already know all the crap that my mom has said about me. She has painted the worst picture of me to other people the entire time she raised me, to the point where people would come to me and say that they would not allow their kids to play with me because they knew who I am because of, the smear campaign my mom did. And part of that I know is because she was immensely jealous. Like, she's a very beautiful woman. Growing up, she was like a model. She was just gorgeous. And I think with me, I was the only daughter. Growing up in this family, she kind of felt like a competition with me because I was young as she was getting older, obviously, right? And so she clung so much, tried to cling so much to her youth, and she saw me growing up into my teenage years and even before that in my middle school years and getting attention. And that, let me tell you, makes you enemy number one to a narcissist. So I know what she has said about me. I know how she's treated me. I know the abuse that she's unleashed on me and the abuse she's allowed others to unleash on me, while she looked the other way. So, how you would say, you would think, how or why would you still have a relationship with her? And I'm not saying like you should do this too, but I'm letting you know this is just me. I have a relationship with her because um, I do care about her. There had been a part of my life where I thought, let me just cut her out completely. And I was strong enough, I could have done that. I could have just said, that's it, the end. I don't want to deal with you anymore. You have no more access to me, to my life, to grandkids, anything. And here's the thing, she has no other grandkids or, other children who can give her grandkids. So I'm it. I'm the last bit of family that she has. And how do I and and our relationship has evolved over the years. I got to explain this too. As I learned how to put up these boundaries and as I learned how to handle her. That's the other thing that, I do share in these videos because I've had the experience of handling a narcissist in a relationship. And I want to tell you, it's really important to have these healthy boundaries. Like when they start going crazy or when they start behaving rude or when they start putting you down, you walk out. That's it, You don't call them for a long time. And suddenly they'll call you after a few months, hey, what's going on? Are you mad at me? Because they need this relationship. One of the things I want to tell you, so I just gave you all that background to prepare you for this part. The relationship I have with her right now is a total illusion. I know it's an illusion. She thinks it's reality because it's her reality. When I have this relationship, or this relationship with her that I have, is me entering into her illusion. That's the only way we can have a relationship because she will not apologize for what she's ever done. She will not, I think she kind of halfway, in a way, acknowledged some of the abuse I received from others, but not from her. She will not discuss that. I've attempted to discuss that with her. She made excuses, and then after she made excuses, she never wanted to talk about it again. So I know, going into this, that I can never expect an apology, and I can never expect even acknowledgement of the damage and the depth of the abuse. So what is in this relationship for me? Well, I haven't mentioned this before, but I do have kids, and I want my kids to have um, compassion. I want them to understand, she's actually quite nice to them. She's excellent to them. And to a certain extent, I get it. They can only, she can only spend a certain amount of time with anybody. This is so weird, but because not all narcissists are like this, but she has to be constantly moving. And so she doesn't spend a whole lot of time with my kids, but the time she does spend, she's actually kind of a doting grandmother. And I want my kids to be able to have that. But I want them to also face reality, which they do. They see, they know, they understand what the heck's going on here. And they're nice to her. And here's the thing, without us, she would have no family. Or she does have other extended family. Uh, I don't even see, this is why I tell you it's hard for me to talk about this because I'm still in the process of it. I'm still going through it. It doesn't, if it gets to a point where it affects my life in a horribly negative way, I will cut her out. And there were decades there where it did affect me so badly, so negatively, affected my relationship with my kids, affected my relationship with my husband, because I would get into one of these moods, after being around her or talking to her. So it's like I invited all this negativity and all this darkness into my life every time I allowed her to talk to me. But I've been able to grow through that and persevered through that. And now I'm so much stronger that it doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it's, you know, annoying at times, yes, but it doesn't drag me down for the rest of the day. I'm able to brush it off and go, oh, well, on to the next thing, on to the stuff that I really need to take care of. And I have a great relationship with my kids, have a great relationship with my husband. We are one of those families where, oh my gosh, we communicate so well that my kids are looking around and saying, Mom, I noticed that our friends don't have parents who are as open um, and as fun or as engaged as you guys. And they feel safe coming to us. They feel safe talking to us about their problems. And we talk about everything. I'm telling you guys, we talk about sex, we talk about their fears, we talk about their concerns, we talk about, their crushes, their aspirations for the future. We talk about everything. And I really love that we can do that. So I have that in my life. And because that's probably one of the reasons I can have my relationship with my mom is because I have the good relationship in other places. And so those sustain me. Anyway, you guys, the illusion I'm telling you about is that in her view, we have this perfect mother-daughter relationship where she dictates what she wants to give, which is fine with me. She has no clue what kind of things I like. She has no clue what kind of things I watch. She has no clue what kind of things I do. She just doesn't. She has this image of me in her mind of what she thinks I like or what she thinks I should like, which of course are the things she likes. So when I'll give you an example. This year my birthday came up, and usually she just, it means nothing. Even growing up, it meant nothing to her. But this year I told her, hey, you know what? You can get me a gift this year. I know exactly what I want. And she says, a gift? How am I going to get you a gift? I have no idea what you want. Yeah, right? Hello. So there was another person in the room at the time when we were having this conversation, and the other person looked at her and said, she's telling you right now what she wants. So you see, you guys, this is the crazy town that I live in. This is the illusion of the narcissist, where if you interrupt their illusion with your reality, they don't get it. They cannot connect to your reality. They can only live in their illusion. And when you interrupt their illusion, they just don't understand. Like, what does this mean? How are you telling me what you like and I'm supposed to know what you like? They can't understand that. They're about to find out. Anyway, this is the weird relationship I have with her, and right now it is not damaging. And in fact, I wish that we could have the kind of relationship that I have with my kids, but I know it's not to be. It just is not, because narcissists just can't have that kind of a relationship. They don't know how to connect with people on the reality, um, on the reality plane. They can only live in their illusion of their world, of what things ought to be and who the other people are in their life. So she has this picture of me in her life right now where she says nice things about me to the same people that she panned me with, where she had told them I'm just this horrible monster of a person, and, poor her, she has to raise this horrible person. So she's this altruistic parent. Anyway, now she goes and tells them how wonderful I am. And so of course they're like, okay, you make no sense, because what has changed? Anyway, I guess the thing I'm trying to tell you here is, when you're in this, if you have a relationship with a narcissist, you have to live in their illusion. That's it. You have to just play along with their illusion, to keep the peace. And if that's all, you just want to get through the day, you want to get through this interaction, you want to just make it through the holidays, just, kind of breathe through their illusion of what they think is really going on. And then you leave. You're able to leave. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to live with them. You don't have to see them every day for the next year. You're just going to spend a few minutes, maybe even a few hours with them, or in, the same room with them, and just enjoy it. You know what? Enjoy the illusion. And that's kind of what I do. I just, go along for the ride of the illusion. And her illusion is actually kind of nice. Her illusion, of course, she's the star of the universe, but her illusion is everything's great. Everything's working out fine. She has a daughter who loves her. She has grandkids who love her. She's able to dictate what she wants to dictate. If she's nice to us, and she is. She actually is nice to us now, this is how I'm able to have a relationship with her, because she is actually nice to me to my face. I'm thinking she probably still criticizes me behind my back, but you know what? That's her. I think when you criticize people and you think so negatively of people, and you smear them continually, you live in this gossip world, you're the one who is damaged more than the person you're talking about. Because I don't even acknowledge it. I'm not part of her world. I'm not part of all this other stuff. Anyway, so you guys, that is my Crazytown continuing experience. And I know it's kind of crazy and it might be hard to follow, so I hope it made some sense. Let me see. Obi-Wan says, my narc knows I'm onto her disorder. So now I just realized I have this problem now. Yes. And my narc is innocent, just trying to live her life in peace, and I won't leave it alone. Yep. That's their illusion, right? So either, yeah, you may not get justice. That's the crummy part of this, right? You may not get justice in the way where you get repaid for the damage they did, but you have damage control, and now you have control over your own life. So that's the thing that I want you guys to understand. You can still build this beautiful life. The narcissists, if you must have a relationship with them, and in your case, Obi-Wan, it does not sound like it's a kind of relationship you need to continue to have. So don't bother with it. The best that, or one of the blessings that you can have is just to shut the door. But in the cases where you see this person over and over again, and they are behaving with you, and they need you, otherwise they would not have these connections and people to care about them or take care of them. I don't know. It's just crazy. If you have to have a relationship with them, then you just deal with this illusion while you're with them. Excuse me, you guys, I have like a clogged nose. But if you want to keep the peace. You play this role, and you don't have to play outside of yourself. You're still a good person. You can still have a good time. You can still interact with others that are there, and just keep it very limited. I'm telling you, we hardly ever talk, and when we do, it's like 2 minutes or less because she cannot have longer than that much of an attention span. It's absolutely nuts. So, but if I had a narcissist where they went on and on and on and they want me to agree with them and they bully me into a conversation or into their perspective, then no, don't do that. Don't have a relationship with them. And I have some of those too, and that were in my life. They are no longer in my life because you know what? I just, one of my mantras is life is just too short. It really is. It's just too short to deal with this. There are some narcissists out there that it will damage you more to continue to have a relationship with them or any interaction with them. So just don't. There are some narcissists out there where they live in their own world, but they've gotten to an age where they're pretty benign and they keep to themselves generally. And, wherever they go, they feel like they're the emperor. But you just kind of ignore that. And most people do. And just allow them to traipse through town like they're on some kind of a parade in your house. And you just go, okay, whatever. And then they're gone. They move on by to just pass through. Yeah. So let me see, you guys. Mike says, I love both of my parents, but really don't trust them. Yes, this is the case with the narcissist that you still love or care about. You don't necessarily trust them. You have to set the boundaries for yourself, right? You have to have an exit strategy. I've talked about that before. When they start behaving in a certain way or talking about topics you don't want to talk about, then you just start walking away. You don't even have to make a big scene of it. Like, walk into another room like you're distracted with something and start doing other things, start talking to other people. Anyway, it's, look at your phone, start looking through your texts. There's so many ways now to distract yourself from a controlling narcissist. But the ones that you love, I understand. You don't trust them, of course. You have to, here's the really cool thing. The reality is you are actually in control of this relationship. The illusion is they think they're in control of this relationship. But you know that you control how much time they spend with you, what they're allowed to talk about when they're with you, and how they treat you. That's you controlling it. That's the reality. The illusion is they think that they're the star of your universe as well as their universe. They are the sun and the stars, and you care more for them than they care about in their minds. They have these weird illusions, and let them have it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. You just keep moving on. Yeah, you guys, let me look at some of these comments here. I do have 3 points I want to share with you guys though about breaking this illusion. With those that the other side is the lover. Now that's different. Your ex. That's different than parents or siblings that you see regularly. If it's an ex, you get caught and you get caught in their illusion. You may still be caught in their illusion after the relationship's over. And what I mean by that is you live it out each day. You can't seem to escape the trauma that you just went through or even had gone through years before, 2-3 years earlier. You're still going through this trauma. And I want to explain to you, it's because you're still living in the illusion. And that's why it's so important to break out of that illusion. You want to be able to decipher which is reality and which was the illusion, so you can let go of the ex, so that you're no longer traumatized by them, and also so that you're no longer drawn to them. It's so different because with parents, you're not like drawn to them in that way, or siblings, but with an ex-lover, you're drawn into this fantasy with them. You're drawn into how they made you feel, and you reminisce about those times, those good and high points in your relationship. And that keeps you stuck for years. Well, there are 3 points that I want to bring out about those types of relationships, you guys. And one of those points is that what you are actually reliving with your ex is a horror movie. That's what it is. It's a horror movie, which you are still disillusioned in. You know how the players or the actors in the, or characters, I guess, in the horror movies are unaware of what's going on around them. They get themselves into danger. And in fact, they even are attracted. I'm not talking about the really gruesome ones, but they're actually attracted at first to the abuser, right? They're attracted to them. They are drawn in. They think things are going to be amazing and beautiful, and all this. Um, it starts off with fun and frolicking, and that's what a horror movie does start off with, right? It looks like a normal sunny day, or a normal day at school, or a normal day in the neighborhood, and or in the city, and you're thinking, oh, I'm just going about my day. Things are great. And then you walk into this crazy, bizarre illusion, which to you at the time you think is a reality. But it becomes this illusion because they've created this weird trap of a world that you walk into. And one movie I love to recite because it drives the point home, I think, really well, is The Shining. And it's one of these all-time. I'm not a horror movie person, so I don't know the newer ones, and I don't even like the older ones. Um, but I did happen to see a part of The Shining where the main character, he's walking through this hotel, right? And he hears the shower running, so he goes into the bathroom and he sees this beautiful woman taking a shower. So he's drawn to her. He sees this person, and she's enticing him to come to her. So he does. He draws closer and closer and closer to her until he's right there at the shower, and he's thinking, wow, I'm gonna get lucky, this is amazing. She's gorgeous. And then of course the reality reveals itself, and shocks the daylights out of him. The reality is that she's a corpse, and she reaches out and grabs him. It scares the snot out of him, and of course he scurries away running, and oh my gosh, what just happened? He was able to escape the clutch of that illusion. But many of us don't. Many of us get stuck in that illusion with our narcissistic ex. We still imagine that we're in love with them. We still imagine that they love us. We still imagine, excuse me, you guys, had to get a drink. We still imagine that they are this wonderful, beautiful person that we fell in love with, right? And the reality is they're a corpse. They're a walking corpse that just takes from you and spreads death. That's it, and we think if we can just get back to them, and we think if we can be with them, we're imagining the skin on them. We're imagining how beautiful they looked. We're imagining how handsome they looked. We're imagining the beautiful illusion that they had presented to us. And that's what we're drawn to. But what we're unable to see, if we're still drawn to them and we're still caught in their illusion, what we cannot see is the fact that they really are a shell of a person. They're just a skeleton. And not just a skeleton, they're a corpse. They're rotting from the outside in and from the inside out. They're just rotting all around. And everywhere they go, they cannot bring life. They just bring more rot with them. So that's the sad thing I know about the narcissists in my life, is that they're walking corpses. And I feel for them. But at the same time, I'm so aware that I cannot ever be pulled back into their illusion again. I just can't. I have no problem at all being around some of these narcissists now, where I'm just not disillusioned anymore. I can see them, and they can pour on the charm, they can pour on the helpfulness, the care, the compassion, or whatever it is they seem to, the love bombing, but I'm not drawn in anymore because I can see that that's the illusion. So you guys, that's one of the ways that you can break this illusion for yourself. When you're going into the holidays and you're missing your ex, you're missing the time you had with them, remember that they are a walking corpse. That's the time you're actually missing with them. You're missing walking towards the shower and having this bony, rotted hand grabbing you. Don't miss that, right? You have to retrain your mind. And that brings me back to the first point I made way earlier in the video here, where I said that the illusion is in your head. It is. It's in your head. If you live in that illusion with a narcissist, what you're doing is you're adopting their illusion in your mind to the point where it seems so real, seems completely real to you. And you think, well, why would I want to leave this illusion? It's so beautiful and it's great here. But here's the deal. After a while, that illusion becomes like a gaslighting situation where you start to feel like you're going crazy. And the reason for that is because the illusions are contradictory. They contradict what's really happening in front of you. So you'll see glimpses of reality. For example, with your narcissistic ex, or if you're still in this relationship with a lover, they'll tell you that they are so crazy about you and they love you and you're the epitome of the perfect person for them, and yet they're staring at every waiter or every waitress, and they're oogling and they're watching porn, they're hitting on all these other people, and you're like, well, wait a minute, if I'm the star or the epitome of the perfect person to you or partner to you, then why are you treating me this way? Why are you, it's incongruent. So your body starts to react to that. Your mind starts to react, but then you are so enveloped in that illusion, you continue to lie to yourself and tell yourself, oh, that's nothing. They're having lunch with their ex, even though they told me that they hated their ex. You make up excuses for them to perpetuate the illusion. So what I'm trying to tell you here is you have to examine the reality. And the reality is that, yes, you might have had some good times with them. They might have said a few good things to you. They might have even done really amazing or wonderful, some of them, things for you. And that includes sex, by the way. You may have had this incredible connection with them. But the reality is all the other things they also do. So instead of extrapolating, so this is point number 2, by the way. The first point is that it's a horror movie, this illusion that you have with the narcissist. Second point is you have to look at the reality of that encompasses all that they do, not just a segment of what they do. So if it's not lining up, if day to day what they say and what they do are not lining up, you need to start examining that. And that brings me to point number 3, by the way, which is reevaluating your experiences in your relationship. And it's sort of like taking an inventory of your house. So you want to take a look at what's been depreciating. You want to look at the foundation. Is this what was the foundation? Where was this house built? Where was this relationship built? How did we build this relationship from the beginning? Was it from a lie? Was it from cheating on somebody else? Were things told to you which later on showed themselves to be lies? Like, did they tell you that they had no debt, and then now you find out they're like $50,000 or $100,000 in debt? Did they tell you that they were secure financially, and come to find out they're bankrupt? And not only are they bankrupt, they have a really low paying job, and they, so they just made up all this stuff. And you're thinking, wait a minute, what did I build this relationship on? What foundation did I build this on? Was it on the foundation of all the lies they were telling me at the beginning of who they were? And I trusted them and I believed them. And they were telling me how special I was. And yet they're looking at everybody else constantly and hitting on everybody else constantly. Um, think about that. You have to look at your foundation. What was it really based on? And a lot of times you might be stuck with the physical side of it, okay? You might think, well, we just connected so well physically that I just never connected that way with another person. And so we're going to build on that foundation. Where here's the thing. You might not have had that kind of connection with another person, but has your narcissist? Are you just one in a string of supply that this narcissist has had? So you're not that special. I'm sorry to say, but the reality is painful. It's painful to hear sometimes, but it will set you free. It will heal you. It will allow you to escape the illusion and allow you to find truth and beauty and a real life. Because all that living in an illusion will do is it's just delaying the crash later on. You're just putting up with the horror of the relationship until either one, you pass away or they pass away, or two, the relationship just crashes horrendously. But either way, you're going to be devastated, right? Either way. Because if you pass away, obviously, you spent your entire life with them unnecessarily, and you could have had a beautiful life. I have seen people like this. You guys, I've talked recently with somebody at a party this last week where I wish I could have told her the reason that her marriage is falling apart or has fallen apart is because she is unrelenting. She is a horror to live with. Of course, she blames her husband about everything, and she thinks he's the narcissist. She thinks he's the controlling person. But the reality is, she's such a bitter person. Ever since I've met her, she's always been so critical of her husband, so bitter, so crude or mean towards him. I mean, she can be physically enticing to him, and I think probably that's what the foundation of their relationship had been, was they had a physical connection. But other than that, the emotional, psychological, crazy town roller coaster rides with her must have been just gutting to him. Anyway, so they're in the process of divorce right now, and I'm looking at her and I know she's going through a hard time. And you guys, here's the deal. You're going to see narcissists with people around them who give them like encouragement. I gave her encouragement because I'm not a monster, you guys. I tried to tell her, oh, I'm so sorry. I try to be compassionate towards her. Sad that you're going through this. I wish I could have told her the truth. But for narcissists, when you tell them the truth, you become the enemy. So I'm praying that one day she will ask me, or there will be an opportunity to talk about these things. I found it with some people who are not narcissists, they do come around. They come around to admitting it, which is amazing. If they're just wounded and they're carrying this wound in their life, and that's why they act sort of narcissistically, or they act in a toxic way, or they blame others, or they refuse to look at their part or their responsibility in a relationship, if they're just behaving that way out of woundedness and not out of narcissism, they do come to their senses. You give them enough time and you work with them and you give them enough care and you give them enough wise or wisdom, they will come to their senses and realize their part in it, their responsibility, and how they messed up. And now they're going to make the changes they need to make. This is what I have seen in some relationships I've had, which just makes me so much, so happy that I stuck it out with these people, that I walked this path with them, that I stuck by them and helped them to see the reality and their responsibility. I always pointed them back to, what are you going to do now? Have you done this? Without nagging them. But you introduce that to them. Hey, here's the answer. And you're consistent. You just keep giving them the answer over and over again. And one day they'll wake up and take your advice, which is crazy, but it's awesome. So number 3 was you started reevaluating your experiences with your in that relationship with the narcissist. You want to not be stuck into the illusion that it was perfect, that it was romantic, except for that time that they hit you, or except for that time they were so drunk and drove the both of you and nearly killed you guys, except for that time that um, they cheated on you, instead of giving exceptions to what the narcissist did in your relationship, examine it. Examine those exceptions that you made for them all along the way. That's how you get out of the illusion. That's how you're able to break free of them. And also from missing them or from having this nostalgic remembrance of them, of how wonderful things are. If you do this reevaluation, you're going to be able to wake up from the illusion. Well, you guys, I have talked a lot. I want to say hi to some of you guys and see what you're writing here. Heather, good to see you. Says, I only go see my mom when I know that I can handle it. She's old and won't change. I love her, but do set up boundaries. Excellent. That is exactly what I'm saying. You can have a relationship with them. You just kind of live in their little illusion for a moment while you're with them, and then you leave. And that's the only way you can have this relationship with them. I also made this other video called Can You Have a Relationship with a Narcissist? And I'll put that in this little eye circle icon to the right of the video once it uploads, so you guys can see it, check it out for yourself. I go through some other details of how you can have a relationship with a narcissist, and what to expect as well. See, Thomas, good to see you. Mike says, hi, Dad, if you're watching. Mike says, my dad is a thief, liar, a know-it-all. Yeah, so, that's where I really cut my ties with people when they bring that into my presence every time and they're so toxic. You don't need to be around that. I mean, you keep that to an absolute minimum, if not completely just leave. It's just, I don't want to deal with this anymore. But you'd be surprised, after a certain number of years, they tend to calm down if you're not feeding them, if you're not enabling them, if you're not taking all of their junk, right? And allowing them to unload on you. Suddenly they do come around to realize, oh, I can't unload on you all the time anymore, because every time I do, you disappear for a year or 6 months and I don't hear from you. They catch on. They catch on to what they're allowed to talk about around you or how they can behave around you. See, Thomas says, I try to limit contact with my narc mother. It works, and spend less time with her just to have peace of mind. Yep. Obi says, I'm just a dad that knows it all, thanks to my educational background and re-educated frame of mind my narc put me in. Oh, okay, that's what your narc is telling you. C. Thomas says, Narc X, yes, I used to do that illusion. I was in thinking we are still together, even though he discarded me. He kept the illusion going for months. Yes. Michelle, good to see you. Yeah, C. Thomas says they are very sad by themselves. Reasons why they pull you back into their world for them to keep going. Supply. And I see my mom now and I see her making efforts. Now, their efforts limited by her narcissism, but at least I see, like, wow, she's making an effort. Okay. It's not the same kind of effort that you and I might make, where we actually want to know the other person. We actually see them as an individual apart from us. Narcissists see you as an appendage, like a part of them. And they don't want to cut you off of them. It's like cutting a leg off of them. So they need you. And I know that she needs us. I know that she's, adjusted her ways to be a lot more kind now. But I know that if I were enabling to her, if I had no boundaries, if I allowed her to be as toxic as she wanted with me, if I sat around and listened to all her gossip, I mean, this woman gossips nonstop, I'm telling you. If I sat around and listened to her gossip, she would continue to do that to me. She would then pull me not only into her illusion of a crazy world, but she'll start to abuse me the same way she abuses all of those she gossips about. Because then I would just be more supply for her. That kind of supply where they feel like they have complete control over you and you have no boundaries and they can walk all over through and in and out wherever they want when you're there, and it doesn't occur to them that you're capable of walking away. Yeah, it's just, oh, you guys. So make sure you have these boundaries. Make sure you know you can walk away. And it's not mean to do that. It's just like, hey, just act like you're distracted. I'm just distracted and I'm walking away. And they're like, hey, and if they get angry, then you just go, oh, wow, I'm sorry you're getting angry. Let me just leave. I don't want you to get more angry. So you put it on them. Like you're doing them a favor by leaving because you don't want to continue to make them more angry. So stuff like that. Then they'll realize, like, wow, there are consequences to what they're doing. At least with you, there are, right? Obi says, I say mine told me, babe, I had a bad dream. People were getting hurt. I said, oh, yeah? A lot of famous people had dreams. I don't even understand what you're saying there. I must have missed something earlier on. Yeah. You guys, let me just see here what I'm missing in some of your comments I wanted to say. See, Thomas, my experience is same as yours. He never did. Michelle says this. Yeah, Michelle says the sex was off the chain from the beginning. Not experienced that before. Then it got to where he didn't know what he was doing and he was very lazy. Oh. Yeah, this is what I have heard about, like the sex just off the charts, by the way, and people are drawn to that. Not only are they drawn to that, they include that as part of the one of the pillars of the foundation or of their relationship. And the hard thing that they don't realize is that the narcissist is like this with everybody, not just with you. So if you can imagine that they're this off the charts with other people too, it wasn't just you. It wasn't like you brought this out in them. This is just how they are. And this is why we might be drawn to them. Not just might, we're drawn to them. We become bonded to them because they connect to us in this way with passion that we had never seen before. By the way, I do have a video about that as well that says, why can't I let go of the narcissist? I'll put that up there as well for you in one of my videos that I suggest in the little icon to the right up on the screen. So yeah, they live life on the edge. They're very passionate, if you will. They call it passion, but what I call it is kind of psycho emotions. They're very extremely highly volatile emotional. And if that emotion is pulled into a physical sexual encounter, it could be like just mind blowing. But the deal is, this is just how they are all the time with others, at least for a while, right? Until they get older and they get lazy, like Michelle was saying, and they don't do that anymore. And instead, the sex becomes boring and horrible and one sided, where it's just for their gratification. They're not in it for you at all. You start to notice that. You're like, whoa, what am I? I'm right here, and they're kind of not even in the room with you, mentally, that is, right? Psychologically, they're somewhere else in their head and you're just there. It's not good. Obi-Wan says, what about when you're walking in public holding hands and all this of a sudden they walk by certain people and let go of your hand quick? Yes, that's the other, right? When I was telling you, what foundation, you have to ask yourself this, what foundation did you build your relationship on? The illusion is they love me. This is so romantic. I'm their soulmate. They've told me this. I'm the sun and the stars to them. But like Obi-Wan was saying, you're holding hands, you're walking down the street, and an attractive person walks, is coming towards you and they let go of your hand. What the heck, right? I mean, that's a disconnect. It's a contradiction to what they've been telling you. Because if you are the sun and stars to them, why would they let go of your hand when this attractive person comes walking by? The foundation that you had built that relationship on were their lies, their deceit, their illusion. So be careful about perpetuating that and holding on to that. Um, Michelle says, or not even walk near you at all. Yeah, they pretend like they don't even know you. I'm not with this person. Yes, I've seen that happen too. Or not go inside of a store with you. Yep. C. Thomas says, that's a long time and I lost myself too entirely, still trying to restore myself. I've known him over 20 years and we have a daughter together. So when we rekindled 3 years ago, I never thought he was a narcissist or he was narcissistic. Yeah. It's really hard when they come back into your life. I have another story for you guys, by the way. There was this letter that was read in a podcast. It's like a psychology podcast, but not really. It's just people who don't have a psychology degree giving advice. And the reason I don't want to tell you about the podcast or who it is because now they have younger people doing. I liked it when they had these two older people who seem to have at least enough life experience to give some insight and wisdom and good advice. Now they have two younger people who I think are in their 20s, if not, I mean, they sound like they're teenagers. They have no experience, and the advice they give is horrible, horrible. It's so bad. But here's the letter they read. It was this woman who wrote in and said that she had been with her boyfriend, I guess, through high school, and I don't remember how long they were together, but the entire time they were together, he never laid a hand on her or anything like that. She doesn't go into whether he had outrage or bursts of rage or anything like that. But she said one time they got into a fight and he punched her in her face 3 times. Yeah. So, of course, that traumatized her. They broke up for about a year. She got her life back in order. She moved in with her parents, something like this. And she started a job and she was doing pretty well in her life. So then after a year, he comes back into her life, telling her how he misses her and how he would never do this to her again. And okay, sounds good, right? Sounds great. My question is, has he gotten counseling for why he did this? Or is he just talking to her about it and she's the counselor, right? And she's not equipped to be the counselor. So has he actually gone to a therapist to figure out what was up with that rage? What was up with that physical reaction to his rage towards her, right? Someone that he supposedly loved. The host did not ask these questions. In fact, they were so wishy-washy. I was shocked. I was really shocked. Okay, another thing is, so he comes back into her life and they restart their relationship. She feels shame, she says. Now, I would have gone into that, like, why, I would have asked her, why are you feeling shame? Let's lay this out. There are certain, are you ashamed because, actually, the shame is a big red flag. It's not, I'm trying to think of a way, like maybe the shame was a good indicator or something, but the shame is a bad indicator. It's an indicator of something very, very bad. And that is, she feels she cannot talk to her friends. She cannot talk to her family. She can't even tell her parents what's going on in their relationship. So what did they do? She and the guy moved across the country to another state. So now he has isolated her from her support group that got her back on her feet that whole year after he had punched her in the face 3 times. She says it's just the 2 of them now. Sounds like she's almost crying out for help. Sounds like she wants somebody to tell her. I mean, what she wants to hear is the illusion. oh, he does love you. It was just a slip up. He didn't mean it. The fact that he's telling you now he will never do it again, he's not going to do it again. That's what she wants to do. She wants to live in that illusion. The reality is, why are you not talking to your parents? Why are you not talking to the friends that helped you through that entire year after the incident? Why are you not allowing the people who love and care about you in your life? And why are you not just um, not just psychologically isolating yourself, but physically isolating yourself? Why did you have to move so far away? What is the purpose of that? So you guys, a lot of times these types of situations end in tragedy because the abuser has no accountability. So here's my question. Here's my advice to this person about bringing her back into reality. I would have told her, move back to town where your family and your support system is. You have to grow a backbone. And if you don't agree with what they're saying about him and you don't want them to just tear him down every time you're with them, let them know that. Please don't tear him down every time I'm with you. And I will be more open with you about what's going on. I need you to be there to help me work through this with him so that I can tell if he is sincere or not. Number two, also, don't move in with him. Like, as you're testing whether he's sincere or not, don't live with him. That makes you vulnerable to the possibility that he is not sincere. So don't live with him. Live with your parents, live with your friend, get a roommate, and then still have a relationship with him where you don't have to be trapped physically, have to go home to him, have to be in the same, house with him if he should have a rage outburst, right? You could actually leave and go back to your place, right? So another reality check would have been to ask her, okay, and also something helpful is go get counseling with him. Go sit in a counselor's office with him. And I know not everybody can afford it and it can be very expensive. Um, I've heard of counseling centers or programs where they're teaching people. So they actually need these people who are up and coming counselors to donate time, donate hours, counseling hours, so that they get the experience. Do that. Call up these centers, call up these schools, and find out if they have counselors that need hours counseling and meet with them. Another thing is if you belong to a synagogue, if you belong to a mosque, if you belong to a church, at all, or have belonged to one at some point, or your parents belong to one, go to it and ask if they have any kind of counseling service that they'd be willing to walk you through. A lot of times they have like these premarital counseling services. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. They can get you through and talking about a lot of very deep things that you normally wouldn't make the time to talk about. Yeah, so these are the reality checks that she should be doing. The people who were on this podcast gave her no such information, gave her no advice other than, well, we want to tell you that we want to believe him, but something in us tells us he, it's unlikely he's going to change. And that was it. That's all they told her. And it was like a half-hour broadcast. And I thought, that's it? That's all you're telling her? Are you insane? So that's why I'm not telling you guys which podcast that is. But I wanted to share with you that experience and that letter from the girl who wrote in. I want to let you know that when you're in a situation where your gut is telling you something is off, something is so wrong, and actually in your mind is trying to trick you, right? The illusion, because the illusion comes from a control in your mind. You want to believe the illusion so badly, but your gut is telling you this isn't true. It's not lining up. There are contradictions here in the actions, the words, and even the words against each other's other words that this narcissist has said to you. They're contradictory. So when that happens, you need to sit down and reevaluate your relationship. Take a look at the, I mentioned the foundation, right? Right? What was this relationship founded on? And another thing is the depreciation. You take a look at the wear and tear of this relationship. How has this relationship weathered the time during the time that you've had it, right? Some people, like I think it was Michelle here who said that she was with hers for, or is it C. Thomas? I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know which one. Said you were there with them for 20 years, your ex. So, yeah, during those 20 years, what was the depreciation on your relationship? How did it weather the depreciation? Uh, and along with the depreciation, by the way you um, counteract depreciation is improvements. You make improvements, right? So where things are wearing down, say you have, your house needs to be painted and it's depreciating because the paint looks terrible on the outside. Well, get it repainted, right? That's what you would normally do. Take care of the things that are rotting or that are fading or that are failing. The deck needs to be replaced. The wood is, your front porch wood is rotting. You tear out the rotted parts and you put in the clean parts. Guess what? No depreciation. It's actually going up it has value now because you put in something new to replace the old depreciating, rotting part. So in your relationship, did you do that? When you had experiences that were damaging in your relationship, how did you repair that? Did you go to counseling? Did you get help from others? Did you get advice? Did you work through it? Did they admit and take responsibility and then follow up? Did you do all of this cleaning out, right? And if you did, then that's the improvements you made. And then did you get closer? Did you start to become more truthful with each other in that, no more hiding porn issues, no more hiding an affair, for instance, no more lying to each other about your debt, overspending and maxing out credit cards and lying to the other person about how much has that been fixed and repaired? And if that has, then that's good. So as you're reevaluating your experience, there's another thing. The parts that had been neglected or abused, have you now shined, the light on it? Have you now given it attention that it needs, right? Your basement is flooding. If you ignore it, what's going to happen to your foundation? You got to think about that. So your relationship, look at and reevaluate the experiences you had in that relationship. That's part of the reality. So when you're going through this holiday season and you're missing the narcissist and you're pining for them and you're being nostalgic about the wonderful sex or the times you took a great vacation together, stop and reevaluate your relationship and see what each experience, the reality of each experience, what was really happening there. So you guys, that's what I want to share with you guys today. But I do want to see more of your comments here and see if what you've been saying. Yeah, Mike says we are just a toy to these narc sociopaths. Yeah. See, Thomas says they play with us. We just have to stop and move on from them. Yeah. So when they're like that, you have to take stock, right, of what's really going on in your life. You need to realize that, or you need to ask yourself, what's the reality here and what's the illusion? What is it I really wish I could say about this relationship, but what really is happening in this relationship or has happened in this relationship? And you guys came up with some really good points here, and I appreciate that, about how they treat you, like letting go of your hand when somebody else walks up, that type of thing, like they're ashamed to be seen with you. Yeah, I've known an narc that did that. Was talking about this girl he was dating who was uh well, yeah, half his age, but also kind of out there, uneducated. He was educated. She was, not that this is bad or anything. I don't want you guys to take it that way. But she had, purple hair and piercings all over. And he said, and she was like completely head over heels with him, because he presented himself as being financially secure. So of course that would bing, 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 kind of set off alarms for her that, wow, he would be a great provider for her. So she was all in. Anyway, and of course he was very sexual with her, which of course I'm sure she enjoyed. And then he was also very attentive to her and took her places probably that she's never been before because she didn't have money. So, took her to nice restaurants or concerts and whatever. So she was just mesmerized by this. And he tells me, you know what, in the long run, I just can't even see myself walking down the street holding her hand. And I'm like, what? Why are you telling me this? Because she thinks that you are in a serious relationship with her. Now, granted, it did not last very long and she jumped in far too fast. I think it was like a 2-week relationship, seriously. But she was at his beck and call and she was completely physical with him and she gave him access to herself, her body and all that. And she played along to his fantasies and she thought this was reality, but she was living in his freaking illusion. And he never intended to, I mean, for him, it was entertaining for a while because he was intrigued by her hair and her piercings and whatnot, right? Like she was not the typical kind of person he would have normally dated. I can't even call it dating, you know what I mean. So, but he knew, he's like, you know what? I would not be caught holding her hand walking down the street. Like, this is not my image of myself. His image of himself was this successful business person and professional looking. I'm not going to walk, and I think he even called her a circus. Like, I'm not going to walk down the street with this circus. I'm like, what the heck? This, I am just shocked that these people can use others like that. And in the meantime, their victims are living in this illusion that they're in a committed relationship, a blooming relationship, a deep relationship. She was devastated. But I think because it was only 2 weeks, I think she has finally moved on. And I think it took her about a year. Yeah, a whole year from a 2-week relationship to move on. Because that's the kind of damage that narcissists can do. That's the kind of connection that narcissists can have with us. Because when they do that future faking with you, and he did it with her, she thought he was going to take on, she was a single mom. She thought he was going to take on her 2 kids, and now they're going to be financially, secure, and he's going to provide for them, and she's going to have this great, amazing sexual relationship, romantic relationship, fairy tale of a dream of a life with him as he takes her around the world and shows her, the high life. So she just imagined all of these things. And of course, it was all an illusion. And he knew it was an illusion. And he enjoyed playing in that illusion for a while. And and this is the thing with narcissists, they convince themselves that the illusion is reality. And that's why they're so convincing about it. That's why it's so easy to be deceived, because they don't come to you and say, or make you suspect that what they're saying is a lie, right? They come to you and they're extraordinary liars. They're extraordinary actors. And, oh, I've heard this. I was reading an article recently, and I've seen articles like this before too, where they say method actors actually are going through that experience. They are having that emotion. Like when they're crying on camera, it's not a fake cry, because those tears are motivated by a real experience that they're thinking of in their head, and they're bringing real tears because they're feeling these real feelings of sadness or sorrow or whatever it is, right? Or when they burst into a rage, these actors, It's real rage they're bursting into because they're in that moment. They're not just acting, they're actually implementing that emotion. They're going through that emotion. That's what narcissists do. And the thing is, it's all an illusion. These movies, it's an illusion. It's not real, right? The actors, the characters they're playing a character, and yet they play it so well. You are drawn in to believing this is reality. So those are really good actors that can do that. Narcissists do that. They pull you into their illusion. You think it's reality because the way they act in it, they bring in all of their emotion. They're completely passionate. They're so emotional. They're hitting these highs, hitting these lows. They're all over. And you're like, wow, they're so raw and they're so intense. You believe it. Yeah. So just wanted to share that with you guys. No Narc says, hi, Escape. Hi, No Narc. You guys, I know I am pretty far behind with the comments, and I'm sorry if I missed some of your comments. I'm trying to scroll down. Oh, Michelle says, my ex threw his ex under the bus to me and wondered why his parents were never interested in getting to know me. Come to find out, he threw me under the bus from day one, and they never cared to know me. Yes. Oh my gosh, Michelle. Right? Yeah, they badmouth you, and they still have this relationship with you. My experience with that actually has been both romantic and this is a while ago, but and also with my parents. But I look back and I think, what can we do, right? What can we do about them smearing us? What can we do about them gossiping about us, spreading lies, getting other people to believe these lies about us? There's really nothing you can do. You just live your life, and not behave the way that you may not even know what they're saying about you. But that's why it's so important to work on yourself. That's why it's so important to do what's right in this world and learn and make yourself a better person for you, right? When you become the person you have always wanted to be, that is how you beat their smear campaign. Because then people will look at your track record. Those who matter, of course, will look at your track record and realize, oh, what I've been hearing is a total lie. Those who don't matter, those who are the flying monkeys or fan club for the narcissists and don't really have anything to do with you, and they're toxic people themselves, would prefer to hear and believe the lies about you than the truth about you. So there's nothing you can do about that anyway. You have to just let it go and move on with your life, doing the best for yourself and for those around you. You're going to have such a good life if you focus on that, not excuse me, and not worry about what other people are saying. But exactly, Michelle, this is what they do. And you wonder, like, why are people treating me this way? Why is their family treating me this way? And then you realize, oh, they've been talking to their family about me like this. C. Thomas says, I made that mistake. Live with him, moved to his state, and got isolated from families. It was horrible. Yeah, C. Thomas, I'm so sorry you went through that. That's exactly what I mean. Why I would have given the advice to the person who wrote into that podcast, to not move in. Like, you have that choice. You don't have to move in with them right away just because they say they changed. Give them a year of a relationship with you while you're not living together and watch how they behave. Have they changed? Are they still, falling into these rages? Are they, even if they're not hitting you, the fact that they're not controlling their rages, that's an issue. Are they addressing it? You want to look at reality and not convince yourself of their illusion so that you can live in a fantasy world. I mean, a fantasy world feels good for a while, but it falls apart. It just does. It falls apart because it's not sustainable and it's incongruent. It just doesn't make sense. It's contradictory. It cannot sustain itself. The foundation is built on sand. It's horrible. And lies, right? And deceit. So the illusion does not last. Oh, yeah. Mike says living with a narcissist or sociopath is literally like living in hell. Yes. And I'm familiar with that from being raised by one. It was like from the time before, I don't even know what to tell you. It was just, it was like you grow up in that and you have no hope as a kid. Like you have no hope. You have no, it was horrible. Ashley says, hi, Ashley, by the way. Says, hey, wanted to let you know I am watching, kind of doing some chores at the same time, but wanted you to know I am here. Aw, that's great. So, Ashley says, I've been missing my ex lately, but I know his new reality with the new supply is fake. It's just hard to see because they became a mega couple in our town since we broke up. Oh, yeah. And you know what? And this is going to be a really hard thing because as long as there is benefit in that relationship for the two of them, they will stick it out. Um, the only thing and they may stay together for 10, 20 years. You may not even be around anymore to see the end of it. The thing is, they will stick it out because if they've become a mega couple, that means they each get benefit from the other for staying in that relationship. So they'll stay in that relationship, possibly bring in mistresses and have affairs. They may even have, not even sleep together anymore after a while. You won't see this. Out in public, they're going to be all lovey-dovey and holding hands and kissing and snuggling and all that. But at home, they're going to be in separate bedrooms. They don't even want to talk to each other. They wake up or go to sleep at different times. They don't have a relationship and they try to be cordial to one another, but just so they can hold it together, the image together long enough to make it worthwhile in the public arena, right? It's an illusion, like you said. It's an illusion. Ashley says we are both musicians in our town. It's almost been a year since he dumped me for her, and they are still going strong, of course. Yeah. It's only been a year. That's the thing, too, Oh my gosh. I know relationships that go for 7 years before the ugliness. I mean, I know ugliness has come out, right? But before even deeper ugliness comes out, that traumatizes the supply, that finally gets the supply to the point where they cannot lie and deceive themselves anymore and be convinced by the illusion anymore. 7 years. It gets to that point finally for them. But, in the meantime, they're making concessions. The supply is making concessions to make excuses and try to continue to live and believe the illusion they're living in. Yeah, that's just what they do. Michelle says, yes, it will always be fake no matter how happy he seems to be. He never will be happy. They are miserable, empty shells. And yes, it is. Ashley says, I know, it's just hard to watch. I have them both blocked, but I still see their stuff all over town. Yeah. And that's, and when you see your stuff, I love this idea. It's called bouncing your eyes. Like, bounce your eyes to something else. Look at somewhere else. Look at something else, right? Get distracted by something else. Open up something in your phone, a news story, a video. Oh, another thing I love, comedians. Watch some comedians, and laugh. Bring laughter back into that moment to pull you out of the devastation that you're feeling, the trauma that you're feeling, the sadness that you're feeling. And it works. It just works. If you want to, I have a playlist of comedians I do watch, or I watch even more, and I should add to this playlist. These are some skits that I'd seen before that I thought were just hilarious. So I've added it to my playlists on this channel. Whoa, Mike. Let me see here before that. Mike says, my dad actually admitted to being a sociopath one time when he was high. Yep. Then he threatened to kill me if I left the relationship. Wow. Yeah. A viewer once recently was conversing with me and was saying how, and we quoted a quote I actually used in one of my videos I think it's by Maya Angelou, that says when a person shows you or tells you who they are, believe them the first time. And yeah, narcissists they do reveal their hand because they're so bad at keeping secrets. They really are. They're so bad at keeping secrets. They want you to know. They want you to know how um, amazing they are, how different they are, how they stand out. So they'll brag about it. It's just total craziness. You guys, we are at an hour and a half, so I want to give you guys a few minutes to wrap up as I read some more of these comments. C. Thomas says, Ashley, behind the scene, he's not happy. It's an illusion. They get bored and will return someday. It's a show. My ex did the same and put on social media like they're happy. Yes, it's a total show, complete show. Because remember, they're trying to convince themselves of the illusion. And, what better way to convince themselves of an illusion than posting it on social media? Because now it's out there forever, right? We are happy. We are each other's soulmate. We're, all that stuff. They're going to post that. And to them, that means they're trying to make it real. They're trying to make this illusion real. And it's just not. It doesn't get there by posting on social media. It doesn't get there by you telling other people what it is. It gets there through work. And that they're not going to do the work. They're not going to do the work to actually build a relationship. Mike says, I've also received death threats from his flying monkeys, which happen to be my neighbors. My dad, who's sociopathic, claims he only knows them on the low. What? That's just crazy, Mike. I don't even understand that. Why they're giving you death threats. About what? Like, what is it they expect you to do? Ashley says, I know, and he came back again at the beginning. Now he's over it. I don't think he will come back, and if he does, I won't know it. I have him blocked on email and phone and Facebook. Yeah, you know what? That's the best that you can do for yourself, Ashley. Continue to block him. Even if he does come back, you don't want to open yourself up to being tempted, right? To listen and believe that illusion. Just like the girl who wrote into that podcast. She let him back in, and not only did she let him back in, then she moved in with him. And not only did she move in with him, she moved to another state with him. And then not only did she move to another state with him, she cut herself off from her friends and her family. So now she's totally isolated. So it doesn't happen all at once, it progresses. And so it's better for you that you don't know if he's trying to contact you and after a while he'll give up. And that is actually beautiful. That is actually a blessing if you don't ever have to deal with him again. Yeah. Michelle says, Mike, wow, I'm so sorry. Mike says, thanks, Michelle. And Mike, I'm sorry. I guess I was trying to figure out the death threats don't even make sense to me. That's why my reaction was, what is this about? Why would they do that? But that is scary. That's not a good place or a fun place to be. So, Mike, I'm hoping that you're able to somehow extract yourself from that or somehow document that. These death threats, are they notes? Are they texts? Save those because you're going to want to make sure you have evidence. Ashley says, flying monkeys are the worst. Got them blocked. Yeah. You have to avoid the flying monkeys too. It's true. They are dangerous. And because they're under the spell of the narcissist. Yeah. Yeah, Mike says, what hurts is the fact I never wanted to be enemies with them too. Oh, to begin with. And we don't get a choice of that because whatever the narcissist says about you behind your back, it's up to them to decide, those who are listening, to decide to examine and to investigate for themselves. But often they just take the narcissist's word, and we have to protect ourselves. We have to isolate, or not isolate, but we have to disconnect from those people so that we don't allow them into our lives in any meaningful way whatsoever. And if you can, avoid them. Just don't. And they're your neighbors, so that's really hard. I don't know if there's any way for you to move or just keep your head low when you're around them, and don't try to spark any kind of interaction with them. Prodigal daughter says, I wanted to say, be wary when thinking about counseling with someone who might be a narc. They will use it as another tool of abuse and manipulation. Individual counseling has been helpful for me. This is true. Thank you, prodigal daughter, for bringing that up. I am aware of that too. What I'm saying is, for this girl, we're not saying that her boyfriend's a narc. He did hit her, so they need to go through counseling to figure out why it is. She needs to get him into counseling, like before she moves in with him, right? And he needs individual counseling, but it's good also for her to meet with the counselor and find out what kind of advice he's getting from the counselor about his rage or his motivation for hitting her. So these are things that need to be exposed, uh, and she needs to see that there's some kind of program or something in place for him to work through this aggression or this aggressive side of him. Yeah. So I'm not, yeah, that's apart from him being a narcissist. Now, if he's a narcissist, you're right. He will manipulate it. It'll be her fault. And if the counselor is not a good counselor at all and has zero intuition, they will, like those two on the podcast, the two younger hosts on the podcast who had horrible and almost nearly zero advice, which was, I think, ridiculous. So that's why it's kind of good also to make sure you have your support system and other people in your life. Yeah, you guys, thank you so much for coming on here and spending this time with me. I wish you so much healing and joy, by the way. Listen to these comedians. They're hilarious. Now, some of them get political, and I try to stay away from that because that's just annoying to me. All of it, really, because, you know, good for them. Some of it's kind of funny, and I think that's cool. If it makes you laugh, great. If it's just more irritating to you, turn that part of it off and enjoy the other comedy that is uplifting and funny and silly. Do that, so enjoy your week, you guys. I'll see you next week. I'm not sure if many of you are going to be able to make it, but I do want to be there for you guys on Thanksgiving. So I'm kind of wrestling with whether I'm going to do a show on Thanksgiving or not. And I think I will. I'll come on and we'll see who hops on with me. I have family coming into town, so I'm excited about that, and that's happy for me. But I also want to make sure that you guys know that this community is here for you, and especially on the days that are really hard. I hope you guys have a great week. Have many happies and few crappies, and I will see you here again next Thursday on Thanksgiving. Blessings to you guys.